Yay, we made it. Hello, everybody, and welcome, Laleh. I'm so excited to have you. It's been a while since I've had a guest, so yay.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Julie.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny, before we got on, we were talking about different things with family. So the topic today is family and choosing beyond family rules. And I really like the way you put that. So if you would like to elaborate a little bit.
Yeah, it's just been interesting, this whole conversation about family. Oh, am I coming through okay?
Yep.
It's interesting because in this lifetime, family was the most important thing for me. I was always very close to my mom, my sisters, and then, having my own family, like getting married and having children and things of that sort. But when I look at, my divorce and children, like I've created family from a very different place. And also looking at how often, we move, like for every choice that we make, how much we have to rely on the people in our lives, their choices. Let me just give you an example. When COVID hit, I was in Portugal.
Mhm.
And the reason I was there was because I was buying a property there so that I could make it be my European hub. And when, they were like saying, hey guys, you got to come back or you're going to stay wherever you are for a little while. Like I really had choice. I had choice to say, okay, am I going to get on an airplane? Am I not? I had just fallen off a horse. So my body was like, getting stuck in an airport is not our choice.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew I was choosing to stay for me. I knew I was choosing for the future that I knew was possible. But if I looked into my family's world, that was one of the worst decisions I ever made. I'm going to die there, like
You're going to be
and I'm gonna,
alone. All the conclusions.
yeah, all the rules and regulations of family, like, because we can't be family that has a fantastic life together if I'm not there. My mom used to say, oh my God, you're not there for your children. They're going to grow up without you. I'm like, my kids are in their 20s. It's like, you know what I mean? But it's like so often we don't realize, not just even cognitively, but like there are so many structures that are here for the family, so that when you are making your choices, it's interesting how much you're still tapping into their world, into their acceptance, not their allowance, but their acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
And how often we limit ourselves because then we're like, oh, it feels heavy, or you know what I mean? Like we've got this resisting that turns into avoidance. And so we're sometimes not really making the choices that really would create the greatest for us in our lives and in our futures, because so much of it is hidden. It's like this like string that holds you back instead
Mm-hmm.
of, wow, like we each empower each other because we're so different. So I'm not sure if I shared it and it made
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. And
But
it's like, if you think about like how aware we are, if we think even just for a second about what they might be considering about your choice, you go into their world and then you pick up all the projections, all the expectations, all the conclusions that they have because they don't have your awareness. And so that confuses you.
yeah. And it's not like that's happening when it's happening. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
really have to be present and ask a lot of questions. Because that's the thing. There were so many moments I was having such a great time, laughing my butt off, and looking at the choices that I was making based on, like you said, I was aware of possibilities. But so much of this is shiku. It's like hidden, you know, it's like things that are so underneath that you're not, it's not like you're saying, okay, I'm doing this and I know this is happening. It's like so often you get the awareness when it's afterwards, when you're exploring it, when you're asking questions, you know, who does this belong to? I'm sure people on your show have been talking about that tool forever, but it's so incredible how much truly with every choice we make, everything, every sensation, even every feeling that's going on in your body, every choice you make for your business, like who does that belong to? You know, today in the shower, I realized I've always said blue and navy blue is my favorite color.
Mhm.
I realized that doesn't even belong to me. And I'm like, wow, wow. Like I've been saying that for, I don't know, 40 something years, you know? And I'm like, wow, like truly, like what belongs to us, really?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you know how Gary says if you were really willing to change everything, you know, you'd probably turn into a pile of dust on the floor. So we're not, we hold on to things, but like we can tippy toe into more possibilities simply by asking, you know, who am I today? What is my reality today? And if I could choose anything, what would it be? And recognizing that every day you can choose different, or even every moment you can choose different.
Yeah. And I want a disclaimer because, like, it's not about family is wrong. Because I think a lot of times people go to the blame of their family, like they're holding me back, and all these different things that we end up saying.
Mm,
Instead of, I'm super grateful for my family. I'm just realizing every single day the gift of how each of us is so unique. And, you know, just because I'm choosing something doesn't mean it would work for my kids or my mom or my sister or my ex-husband or whatever. Like that's the gift of all of this, is for us to be present, keep asking questions. And like you said, you know, every day asking, you know, what is my non-reality? You know, what is true for me? Just even that, what is true for me here, you know, in the situation that's happening, or whatever you want to ask for, add into your life and living. Like, if I was truly being me, what would I choose?
yeah. It's a good one. Yeah.
Well, and I'm curious because you're also talking about your daughter, you know, before we jumped on. And
Mhm.
that's why I was like, this thing about family just keeps popping up. You know, even Dane just did a call just a few minutes ago and it brought up some of that stuff. And I'm just like wondering, like, really, like, what beyond this reality creationship could we be creating with our family, whether it's your children, whether it's your mom, dad, whether it's your siblings or uncles or your neighbor or whoever it is, because we don't realize, but we're actually creating relationships with people. And when we take that relationship, we make it so significant, you know, it becomes the source instead of you choosing, like you said, what is true for you. And then from that, have no expectation that it's going to work for somebody else.
Yeah. Last night, she and I were talking about, um, you know, choosing the people we'd like to have in our lives. And she's like, it makes a lot of sense that I'm having the people that I desire, the people that, you know, lift me up and don't judge me and these kinds of things. And she said, but at the same time, when there aren't that many of those people, then I go into judgment of myself for not having enough friends. And I said, isn't that
Mm.
interesting that we make ourselves wrong for choosing what works for us?
Yeah.
And what if we didn't have to?
It,
What if we could just realize, you know, it's the ebb and flow of life?
I wonder what we're opening the doors for in the whole world, because
Yeah.
I was having this conversation 2 hours ago with my cousin's wife. I'm staying here with my cousin today. Um, and it's so interesting because she had a little situation with a friend 3 months ago and they haven't talked. And today they're going to go for a walk. and actually reunite, whatever they're going to do. And we
Mhm.
were just having this conversation, and she was saying, it's so interesting. Like, the conversation I had with this person was, put your ego aside and do it from a different place of vulnerability. And she thought she could handle that kind of conversation. And she realized, no, this lady just said, go away, and hasn't talked to her for 3 months. And
Oh,
she just kept saying, well, she's not my 4 p.m. friend anymore. Like, I'm going to be on guard with her. And, like, after 4 o'clock, it's the people that, I'd say are close to me. And I'm only going to have a few of those. And I was like, wow, what are you creating by what you're saying? But I had to be an allowance. That's her world. It's what she's creating. But I said, well, what if it's also about, like, us being an allowance? Like, you actually allow her to be however she's choosing to be, and you be you. And the moments it works, come together, and the moments that doesn't work, don't. And it's interesting. I wrote an article about even like holidays, like, so often people like torture themselves for the holiday, but like,
yeah.
what if you chose what's going to work for you? And if it creates greater, go see the family. If it doesn't create greater, don't go see the family. Like, like, choose what's going to work for you. And I'm realizing how most of us don't. Like, the judgments of the family we're not willing to receive sometimes limit, or even friends in this situation. Like, I said, you also have to be aware that your style, it works for you, but your style may not work for someone else. So just coming and saying that to her, that might not create greater in her world. And she was like, yeah, I know. And she went down this whole other rabbit hole. But
Yeah.
like, it's just how much we keep thinking we're right. We're choosing the right road. And
Yeah.
also having into consideration that, there's other people in the world as well.
Yeah. It seems like people they're so willing, they're so into this pendulum swing of, one direction or the other. And they're forgetting that middle sweet spot that isn't compromising, really. It's not giving you up. It's a win-win. So like when I go visit family, what makes it work for me is being able to go off on my own, just to kind of break out of that bubble of their energy after a while. So if I have to be there longer than 3 days, I definitely need to go off and go for a walk or go for a drive or do an errand or something. And
Yeah.
it helps.
And yeah. And but see, that's you, Julie, getting to know what works for you first.
It took a long time too, because like with my family, when you go visit, you can't stay somewhere else. You have to stay with them. And actually last year, as my father was transitioning, I absolutely was adamant for the first time and saying that I cannot stay in that house. I need to stay somewhere else, because I knew that it was going to be physically draining. So I was there and I was present for most of the day. And then I would go back to the hotel and be with my sister, and we'd trade bars a little bit and, you know,
Oh,
have our own
yeah.
reality. And it really helped. And that wasn't a choice against them. It was a choice for us and what worked for us so that we could be there for them.
But that's the key, what you just said. Choice for you, not a choice against them. But we learned it's either for you or for them. It's not finding what works for you. And that's something that I wish, gosh, from day one, I would have been taught.
Yeah. Trial and error. A lot of bending over
Well,
backwards to please.
yeah. It's quite funny because I was in Portugal during COVID, so I was there for 1 year and I missed the holidays with my kids. And last year, I was like, hey, girls, what are we going to do for Christmas and things of that sort? And it was really funny because it was like, Mom, we got to go to this house, we got to go to that house. Like, we actually want to spend time with you. We don't want to just spend an hour with you. So why are you going to come from overseas for 1 hour with us, And so I was like, yeah, where would it be fun for me to go? So I went to Russia. I went to St. Petersburg and I went for New Year's, Christmas and New Year's, and then, flew out of Moscow. And that was fun for me. You know what I'm saying? But the way my kids got to choose, they never got the guilt syndrome from their mom. Like, I never said, oh, you must not love me and you must not do this and how dare you. For me, I was like, yeah, they're choosing for themselves. Like, there was not one moment of like, oh, Mom, I should probably say you should come. Like, it was like clear. It was like, Mom, we'd love to spend time with you. This is how it is. This is what. And it was so beautiful to know that. And I knew that. I knew the one thing my kids would always know is that they had choice.
Yeah.
And so, you know what I'm saying? But like, if someone looks from the outside,
We
it's
didn't
like,
learn that.
oh,
It took us a while to learn it,
no.
but our kids now have it.
Oh,
And the cool thing is that because you're willing to choose, you're showing them choice, not just telling them they have choice. And it really does change everything. My kids are the same way. And Steve, who's watching, said, this is helpful. A choice for me is not a choice against anyone. Yeah. And we have to be really, really clear about that for ourselves and not, like, sometimes it is like we're choosing against what somebody else wants because they're pushing so hard or pulling so hard. So we have to be really clear. Okay, what does work for me? What would I truly like to choose? With the space of no resistance, no judgment.
and it's funny because you would think what you're just saying is common, it's like how we should all be functioning, and yet it really is. You have to be present in every moment and choose in every moment. I've been in Access for almost 11 years now, and I know you've been here like 20 probably. I know you were here way before me. But what I'm finding literally every single day, like every tool, I'm experiencing it, I'm utilizing it, I'm having fun with it in such a different way of like, even like just asking, hi, what would be fun for me today? And not assume it's what was fun for me yesterday or even 10 minutes ago, but like, what would be fun for me right now? And yeah. And then what future does that create? And we are an example for others as well. It's like when you choose, not against someone, but when you choose, it's like someone else knows that's possible. Like, I travel all around the world, and I was traveling even while people were being funny with COVID, and people would be like, I watch you travel and it's giving me hope I can get on a plane one day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow, like, you don't know what's really going on in someone's world, but just that one choice of like, I'm not sitting still in one country, and it's okay if you are, but that's the choice that works for me. I enjoy that.
Yeah. Absolutely. And also the choice to like wear your beautiful pearls that you've got, dress like you actually are going out, even if you're not. So many people, turned into pajamas and sweatpants and, no makeup, which is totally fine. But does that inspire you? For me, over 30 years ago, I created my business, my jewelry and art, and I did it from home. And every day I got dressed. And every day when I got dressed, I created a new set of earrings and necklace to wear. And that was part of my creativity. Because I just because I was home didn't mean I was going to be in my pajamas all day. And I guess that's different. I thought that was normal, but I guess it's not.
Well, it's so interesting because I used to always be in an office. I was an executive, I was building companies. And so I'd go meet different clients. And so getting dressed up I don't know that I back then I would have worn pearls.
Mm,
But you're right, but I would get dressed up, I would have jewelry, I would have makeup and things of that sort because they were fun for me, not because I had to. And then my sister started working from home years ago and started doing a lot of stuff around social media. And I realized that when I would stay with her every day, she was dressed up. Like it could have been a nice shirt. It wasn't even like, she has to wear a ballroom outfit.
right.
But even the shirt, like she dressed like I'm presenting, every day she was presenting. She never knew when she was going to be on some kind of video. Back then it was more Skype and things of that sort. But
Mm,
she says, every day I have to shower and go to work. And so she would go to her office, close the door, and no one could bother her because she's like, if I'm at an office, you can't come to me. You want something, you message me. Like she was really like adamant about it. And I realized it really is like every day she was allowing herself to know, hey, I'm going to create a greater future. And we could do it in our pajamas if that's what works for you. But she was seeking something very different, the kind of clients that she was working with.
mm,
That image of wearing pajamas was not going to work for those clients.
right. Yeah. Yeah. And, it's like, enjoy your body while you've got it, do what works.
Good body, good body.
Sometimes that's wearing pajamas and fluffy slippers. And sometimes it's, do your hair and makeup and, dance around your house or whatever.
And we do have men who are watching this as well. So like, even for you guys, I see like sometimes men go the other direction as well. Obviously there's no makeup. Well, you could be wearing makeup, but
It's
most
like they
don't.
don't shave
Um,
and everything gets scraggly. Yeah.
yeah. And if it works for you, some look very hot that way, but like if it works for you, it works for you. But like, I'm wondering, like, it's not just a conversation about women. Like it really is like you being present and being willing to also receive the energies and the judgments of how nice you look, or why did you get all dressed up, or what I mean, like all those
Mm,
different things.
yeah. And that you're traveling. I think it's amazing where you've gone. There are people who haven't traveled for 2-3 years. And, I've gone a little bit, but the way you go from place to place to place for months on end, that's like beyond my reality.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's been really interesting to I always loved traveling. Like traveling's always been part of many things for me. And I'm now actually going to start having a place, except a hotel. And I'm really looking forward to it, but I also get like everyone's like, "Oh, so now you're going to live here and you're not going to be traveling anymore." I'm like, "No. I'm also going to live there and I'm also going to continue traveling, but it's going to be different." And so I see, like, coming back to our original conversation beyond family, like even friends and family, like how much they quickly put you in a box
Yeah.
that this is who you are, this is what you do, this is how it's going to be. Even my cousin here asked, he's like, "Oh, I thought you were going to like have a full-time job somewhere and you're going to settle down and we'll see you more." And I was like, oh gosh, like just the thought of that makes me
Nope.
feel like I'm in prison, that just does not work for me. Um, but it does for them. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
that's the gift, is that each of us is so unique. And you really have to take some moments to play, explore, see what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And even the things that you think do not work for you today, tomorrow might, being that question of that 10 seconds.
Very cool. Awesome. I can't believe it's already been 30 minutes. Just about. So where are you off to next?
Tomorrow morning, I'm traveling to Dubai, and super excited because we have Simone Millicis. She's coming to facilitate some Joy Business classes and the choice of possibilities. And then I'm also doing some things with my new business that I'm starting in Dubai. So
Cool.
I'm super excited to be traveling. Yeah.
Awesome. I will put your links in the show notes, and
Cool.
thanks everybody for joining. And
Thank you, everyone.
have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm going to go do the expanding exercise in the other group, finding your sparkles.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Julie.
Thanks. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.